Happy Monday, everyone. All right. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Interesting markets today. Really interesting. So we sold off in the morning, and then we bottomed around 1 o'clock. Similar market action what we have, and then we overcame and held VWAP around 2:30 p.m. and closed, pretty near the highs where we were at 9:30, 10 a.m. Interesting movement in markets. The SPY was up about 0.1%. The Qs are up 60 bips, doing a bit better. We'll ignore the GameStop fiasco, up 23%. Today was a really kind of a post-election globally day, and you'll see what I'm talking about, which moved 4 sigmas in some ETFs for some countries. And IWM was down. IWM got hit pretty hard, down 60 pips, not massive, but it did get hit. Let's take a look at the themes for the day to tell you what I was talking about here. Well, Rocco just really got bad breath. It's bad, but I know he's supposed to brush his teeth 2 times a day. That's craziness, man. He does not make that easy. All right, so this was the headline. India, nat gas, and biotech rip, while Mexico dramatically drops, down 10% for the EWW, which is crazy. We had some weakness in it last week. Looks like the market was sniffing this out. A leftist, first female woman ever got elected in Mexico. I think she's a big leftist, and them sent the currency going nuts and the index crazy. The Mexico ETF EWW tied to the Mexpol index down 10.5%, almost 11% in one day. So absolutely incredible, just breathtaking. And oil was down 4%. This thing is down in the low 70s, and you had some the oil names really get hit today. Almost every oil name was down pretty hard. A lot of them. All right, so up today though, big in India to new all-time highs. They had a positive reaction after their election. The whole Modi thing. I don't follow in depth. I let technical analysis do the work for me. So when I see something having a 4 sigma move to the downside, I know where the momentum is. And when something's ripping to new all-time highs, I know where the momentum is. In terms of policies and stuff, that's a whole different thing that, as a voter, you have to do, your due diligence, but I don't live there. So India was up 3.5% to new all-time highs. Nat gas ripped. Again, nat gas was the best trade overall in the market last week to the downside. It recouped more than half of its losses. It was down 12% last week. It was up 7.5% today, so more than half of the way there, carrying the football. Saudi Arabia, interesting one to highlight, was up in the wake of oil being down very hard. So it's very interesting to see Saudi Arabia up 2%, probably in the back of as well, some kind of affiliation with the India vote positivity, but oil down 4%. So we'll see if it catches up to them. Biotech's up 2.5%. Rates have been moving one way. Rates were down pretty good today. Like we said before in a video, not to tout, but we said the rates were going to come down off of the market's relief, and that's what you're seeing here. But the 10-year has dropped significantly. It's done a lot in the past 5 days, though, so I don't think it drops too much here. And we'll see what we're talking about when we pull the SPY chart. And then lastly up, emerging markets. Like I said, it was a lot of emerging market day. And down, oil, Mexico, oil and gas, industrials. And then that ETF that keeps popping up, the cows, which kind of loosely ties with IWM. And the best 3 absolute trades of the week: short Mexico because of today, short Bito is having a rough time, and short that IGV, the internet space, after last week's mess. So let's go. And after that, that beginning, let's see what's going on today. So as I said, here the SPY bottomed right around 1 p.m. at 523, we'll call it spot. And then we rallied over here. VWAP was 527. I'm rounding here for simplicity's sake. And we closed at 528. Bada bing, bada boom. I have said before, so I still expect weakness, but not for much longer through the end of this week or so. It could be earlier. Right around 519 to 523 is where I see the S&P to rest. And I believe another leg lower. I don't know if it's going to happen immediately in the next 2 weeks, but I think it's getting ready anywhere from the next 2 to, I know it sounds like a crazy weatherman forecast, but the next 2 to 6 weeks. It depends if we base and we do further consolidation here, or do we keep some more momentum and we start to take out new highs. That's the thing. And fully frank, I have my wish list ready and capital loaded, ready to go to get more on the long side. So for me, it's a matter of time. This is a good looking chart. And like I said, for the end of this week or so, I expect the weakness to take us to 519 to 523, right around there, because it's 21 exponential moving average, a couple other Fibonacci extension, 38.2% meaningful levels as well, and retracement pivot levels from the past 3 days. So nothing meaning behind those technicals. So I fully expect that, and then new all-time highs potentially for the target. Okay, anything else to highlight SPY, or should we get to stuff that moved today? That's pretty much my picture on that. So, but I am getting a capital ready and such. All right, speaking of people that have a lot of capital, India, new all-time highs. Wow. 3%. How much did it close up? 3.5% today. This is not a super high volatile nation ETF. Like 3% move in one day is massive. So their economy must have, the market must have totally received the vote very well. This is a huge move in one day. But a very good story. I'm not going to buy it here, but definitely has momentum. I think you can get an entry around 53 in this over the next couple of weeks. But wow, India new all-time highs. Overbought here. Last week, nothing else to say besides new all-time highs, man. All right, Nat Gas. This is going to be a much more interesting chart. Let's zoom in on 6 months because it's such a piece of crapola. All right, so Nat Gas, as I said, the biggest loser in the market last week, down an entire 12% in 1 week. Now up 8. So this move is what I'm talking about. Pretty technical. Tagged the 200-day moving average, and then woof, got the Ken bait all the way down to 21 exponential moving average. And now it is trying to move back higher. I think that's possibly right. I think it's probably going to make another move towards that 21 EMA. Probably hover around there, 1780. This was a big jump today. Ultimately, though, I think it could actually get to 20. So confusing one, but look at this, kind of doing well. It has held the 50 RSI going back to, I mean, it's not nothing, going back a month now. That's, I don't want to say superstar-like behavior because it didn't survive this test, but good signs out of UNG after putting in its 52-week low in mid-April, basically on tax day at $14. So interesting signs, but moving on. So Saudi Arabia, as I said, emerging market investor dollars floated to this way as well. Even though oil was down very hard, this is very correlated with oil. This is a much messier picture with it peaking April 9th. This is going to be significant. So there's monster resistance at 43 all the way up here, just due to volatility. There's just a lot of, this is going to be very difficult. But first things first. So had a big, nice up day, up 1.7% today. 200-day moving average is right at 41.5. So as we said, I think this is highlighted actually in last week's video. So we're going to see if this was a blip, these couple of sessions, a week or so under this new 200-day, under this 200-day moving average, or is this the beginning of something else, and this is where it lives? Is this going to be the ceiling, or is this going to be the floor? I think it seems like this is going to go to 41.80. I think this seems, it looks like it's going to go there. So I think there's going to be a blip, and then maybe it just consolidates and oscillates here for longer. So tougher one to trade, but interesting rebound out of the Saudis. Biotech's up big today with rates down. Let's look at XBI. Let's go back to a 1 year here. XBI. All right, so this is Biotech's. So rates have done nothing but collapse in the last 4 days, and this moves, appropriately. The 200-day is really just stagnant here. I don't like it at 83.5. This looks range bound. I mean, you could trade within that 10% volatility band if you so, between 83 and 92. You could sell strangles every 2 to 3 weeks and generate that income. I've done it before, but if it ever breaks down, it's really going to be, picking up panties essentially to get steamrolled. This looks okay. I think it's going to head to 95 on short-term momentum, to be honest. So this looks pretty good right now. I think the market, if it does go up, this could go higher. So yeah, reverse what I said about the strikes for the strangle sale. But it doesn't look horrible. I could see it getting to 95. When this thing moves, it goes. And it's already at the upper band here. Yeah, I think this has a little bit higher to go, but it's going to be choppy. And EEM, as we said, a big emerging markets day overall. Let's see what this picture looks like. Yeah, not bad. Let's put in this 52-week high just less than 2 weeks ago. Pretty good right there at $44. Tested its 14-day 50 RSI right here and is now moving higher. So I think, this was up 1% today. A great entry would have been right around, 41.75. I'm looking at here. Yeah, lower band. Literally would have got in really great pricing here. Essentially the lows all the way going back the entire month of May. But this looks like, I think this goes to 42.5. This might have a little bit more. And then a big surge would take it to like 43.75. But that'll be just a tick under its 52-week high. All right, now let's go for the down. This is an amazing chart. You're not going to see this often. Mexico down 11%, essentially 10.5% on that the female president, the leftist election yesterday. So this chart, we were saying this was a bit of a messier chart too. The 52-week high for this was on April 9th. We saw a couple emerging markets top around April 9th. 200-day is just been steadily, losing momentum, obviously, but it's been going up a penny. I'm looking at here. You can see 63.82, 63. Well, went down today, but technically outside of this April 9th high, it's basically been doing nothing all the way back from from Christmas. So it's been between the 63 and 70 range, which is 10%, 10.5%. Today, after this election, it just tanked through the 200-day, that 63.80 level, which has been so important as a static level, 63.80. So we'll touch this on two different points. So 63.80 is meaningful because it takes you to an important level going back to early December, but also the 200-day moving average for has been important because it's been, obliging by basically obeying its rules since November 14th. So this is a huge 4 standard deviation move. It is oversold for only the first time since October of last year. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. This might be up 3%, to regain some of the losses here, but definitely ugly because it opened the day at 63, went all the way to 57 and closed at 58. So this probably has a little bit more selling to go, but very, very, very dramatic. I haven't seen that in a long time. So India went the opposite way to all-time highs. Mexico new, not 52-week lows, but definitely momentum to the downside. Oil down 4%. Let's take a look at this one. This is a little bit messy too. So this one had its 52-week high on April 12th. We were just talking about Mexico having its 52-week high. A lot of nations were at that time. So interestingly enough, look at this. So this same thing, now it's dropped below the 200-day moving average. That's a little bit worrisome, similar to Saudi Arabia. Curious if that's only a blip. It happens like a week or so, or is this a new regime? The high is over here. Look at these lower highs here, and there kind of took it out, but doesn't look great. And also the 50 RSI on the 14-day looks like it's been the absolute best case scenario since mid-April. I don't know, this doesn't look great, and the 200 days technically still going up. It's interesting that level 74.40, and it just dropped through it here. I don't know. I think the support, I had a 72 for a hold support level here, and it dipped below it by 20 cents. I don't think it goes too much more. I think you could, I don't want to say buy it, but I do think this probably, especially if there's any kind of euphoria in the market, this could get to 76. So I don't want to do it now, though. Definitely not now. XOP, the energy names got hammered. This was featured last week on our video because it was the 5th best gainer of the past week, and it gave all those gains back and then a little bit more. This looks a little bit overdone. I could see it maybe going another $1 or $2 down to 145 I have as a support level here. But then I think this is going to prime set up for another move back to what? 151. So you get a couple bucks. Like I see, obviously a lot of volatility in the markets as you can tell here. But this still looks okay, not great. I would rather throw money something else, but I can see it's going a little bit lower just because it's not a great looking candle today. And then it moved back towards 151. XLI, the industrials, they got hit today pretty good, down by 1%, 1.2. Let's take a look at this chart. This has been a pretty, decent space, pretty good space. 52-week high, let me guess, April. Yep, April 4th. Nice 200-day, still has momentum. It's been losing to the general SPY versus S&P, not showing great relative strength the past week, but that's short term. Yeah, to me, this is a great entry right around 121. Right, it closed 122. It did touch 121 today. Yeah, it got as low as 120 spot 88. 121 is a good entry because I think this will mean revert to 124, but it's $2. We'll see if there's better ways to make money. And then cows, this is again being featured, having a multiple sigma deviation move lower today, loosely correlated with the IWM. IWM, for example, today down 55 bips. This was down much more than that, but it's kind of like the proxy I kind of half use. April 4th, same high. This looks like this looks like it could descend, I think, a little bit more towards 54. I don't think, look at this entire range that it's been obeying. I'm not saying it's going to break out of that ever, that it's not, but I just don't like where it's trading here. I could see this definitely moving towards 54 quarter again before it settles back where we are today, around 55.40. All right. Okay, so now let's do the top 5 gainers of the past 5 days. No repeats. Retail, the best long in the market over the past week, up 5%. Or for all you mathematicians out there, that is an average of 1% per day. Today, it was up 1.3%. Just a smidge from its 52-week highs, which is 80.10. So less than $2 away. This looks, I mean, looks like it's at target right here. Could have more momentum. I have another upper band, Bollinger Band, different time frame for 78.65, and that's right around here. This time frame on a 20-day is 78.5. So I think it's done a little bit too much in the short term. We'll probably move towards 75.10. This space moves a lot. I'm long Abercrombie and Fitch, and it moves in blocks. Gap, I think, as well, also hit a 52-week high today, or yesterday, or on Friday. So the retail space, if you're in the right areas, it's working. But yeah, so that's XRT. Okay, volatility, the second best trade. That's never great because, that shows downside is growing. But VXX was really, really cheap, too low. So what was another thing I was saying? So we're looking for the market to bottom out. I'm looking for a move to the upper band on this. Let me zoom in because it's such a piece of crapola. So much of UNG. So I like to see it cap that downside, which was downside for the S&P, which would mark upside in the VXX. So I usually like to see it get as high as the outside of the band. I have it on different time frames. So here I have it at 12.55. Another time frame I have it at 12.80. So if I could see this towards mid end of this week, when I'm talking about the S&P flushing because it's a very garden variety sell off. If we could get that move to 12, like I said, 12.55, 12.80, which is still significant, $1.20 from here, so like a 10% move in the VIX, 3% here and there. It actually was up today, and then it was up until 110, was above its 200 bar moving average here, for instance, and then it really plummeted towards the end and closed down 60 bips. So VXX, yeah, I want to see if it goes higher before I can say, all right, let's throw dollars at the market. Okay, XBI, we already did that. That is your third best gainer of the past 5 days, up 3%. EPI is a different India ETF. I'm not going to look at it because it's the same. It's going to be the same exact trajectory and signals pretty much as INDA, which we looked at to open this show. This Schwab REITs ETF is the 5th biggest gainer of the past week, and not a huge mover though, up 2%. You can see its sharp move off the bottom here from 19 to 1970. Lower volatility. This is directly off the back of the relief in rates. Obviously makes people more willing to take on a mortgage at lower rates, etc. So in terms of where is it going, could maybe get to 2020, like right around this upper band. So that's 50 cents or, like 3% or so. So yeah, maybe a little bit more. But that's going to be obviously tied to the rate story. All right, top 5 losers the past 5 days, no repeats. We saw EWW Mexico. That is your top loser and your best, your most overall absolute trade in the market. EWW goes down 12% technically on the past 5 days. That's how it's calculated. Bito is the second. This one's had some issues. Let's take a look at this. So this is down 7% in the past 5 days. Let's take a look at this setup. I was just listening to some technicians today that are sniffing a breakout any day now. Or not any day now like that, but just waiting to see when Bitcoin is going to break 100K. So let's see. So this ETF specifically, that's the second biggest loser in the market over the past week. Topped on March 13th at 33.79. We're currently trading 26. Rising 200-day moving average, kind of hugging the 14-day 50 RSI. Oof. I think it could go a little bit lower to 24, which sounds crazy because it's 10% reduction. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's impossible. It's already down 7% over the past 5 days, so 10% is reasonable, and you're well within the support levels. And then I think it very likely will mean revert right around this 27. I think I get a nice bounce back. So I guess in terms of crypto, 69K or so Bitcoin today, you could see it drop, potentially go to 63K, and then we go to potentially 70K, still under the 52 guys. Oh, it's a mouthful. All right, IGV, the third biggest loser. This had a really rough week last week because of Salesforce and all that now, ServiceNow, all that. Let's see if it's almost done. Does not look great. You want to see some strength out of this. It was down 20 bips today, which isn't horrible, but similar to this, We want to see that 78.30 hold. Couldn't quite do it today. That is its 200-day moving average. See if it's just a blip or is this a new regime? Yeah, I got to oversold here. This has a lot of work to do, a lot of chopping wood to get to like $81, which is its 21 EMA. And then ultimately you have such massive resistance at 85. I know it only goes back to March, but it's got so much work to do to get to 81, I feel. We'll see. It's been heavy. It can move, but we'll see. And earnings start in another 5 weeks, July 13th. So that's not going to save it for right now. USO, what you looked at, and then the ARK ETF. I'm still using this as my short. I own ARK put spreads. I roll. This looks weak, of the weakest of like a lot of the charts that we looked at today. This topped in December. The 200-day is going. Well, it's going down. I'm trying to look at the velocity. It was going up, and then it's kind of stuck at 45.10 now. It's technically going up, but very, very small. Ultimately, though, what I care about is that it's looked at it's viewed as resistance right here. But this is the same thing. So this is the past week. Very interesting to see. But overall, it's had a troubling time since April 15th, since tax day. We're dealing with the 200 moving average. It's very difficult. So we'll see. I think ultimately this probably goes to 44 to 46 on a monster move. There's mad optimism where rates drop more. This is what it did in the past 4 days. So even with a reduction in rates, this did not do a ton. So I'm comfortable with the short. I will actually probably roll this again because shorts are really tough to find for good ideas. And this looks like it's still rolling over. So I'm actually happy in what I see. So short Mexico, best trade in the market right now because of what happened today. And then second, short BITO specifically because they use front month futures. So it's not going to be IBIT or GBDC or anything else. And then third best trade in the market, another short IGV. I do intend, I expect and assume, not assume, what happens when you assume, make an ass out of you and me. But I expect the market to flush out at some point this week. And then these two flip and you're going to start seeing longs again. Oh, yeah, one more thing. Let me see this. I wanted to plug this little thing. How do I even have it? Hang on, we'll just chit chat for a moment. Let me see if this works. Do I have this up here? I love the headline. Hang on. So I have, let me stop this. Extra long show to dizzle, but I just wanted to see something. We'll show one more thing. So this was my most recent interview with Business Insider. And I love the headline. It's ignore NVIDIA's 2,000 like valuation and ride the market's AI-driven momentum by making these AI investments, according to Rally Calling Pro Trader. That is myself, named here, Pro Trader Tech Bull. So talks about a bunch of trades I like. Stocks will shatter expectations and records. 8 top investments to make now. A bunch I talk about here, obviously. There's Bitcoin. I talked about Nvidia, Apple, etc. So just some stuff. All right, I will talk to you later. Peace. Oh.